Princess Diana was no stranger to the psychic world. In fact, a seance to contact her spirit seems to follow her own personal philosophy.
Now, the first thing that I've had a feeling of since I've been sat here is, I know Diana was very involved in a lot of charity work. And have one of you been involved in charity work with her?
Yes, I was.
There was heated conversation that she would have pushed information about, that she would have liked you for your willingness to say you're wrong. And I feel that sometimes she put you on the spot.
I think it might link with somebody who's here at the table, but not with me.
Well, she's taken me to America, and New York in particular.
I'm a New Yorker.
You're a New Yorker, okay. Well, I'm linking with you then. I must be still with yourself. Have you also had connections also around the film industry yourself?
Yes. How I got involved with Diana was through someone who had to do with film.
Right. I still get this feeling that you would always speak very straight with her.
Oh, I did speak very straight. When I spoke to her, it was actually very funny.
But straight. You could put a point.
It was
you
very
didn't
straight. Yes,
always have to agree with her. That's what I feel.
Well, it wasn't that often, but it was extremely straight and actually very funny.
Because
that's funny that you said that.
Because it appeals to her mischievous side, you know. Because she's got
absolutely.
This mischievous side.
I mean, that's actually very funny.
Have I got a similar feeling with yourself too, that you've had some connection on a movie sort of level or something?
Definitely not movies.
So I feel we have to plan what's going to be said.
Yes.
Would that make sense? And I feel like I want to tear the script up and do things more spontaneously.
I worked in the food industry, which is very much a presenting industry to people. And there was always an adaptability when you got to...
Right, so can I say we're changing it all? It must be the menus I'm tearing up then. Yeah, and it's we change everything all the time. And it must have been absolutely infuriating for you. And you're all the time saying, yes, that's fine, that's fine. And she knew the person behind it all. Did you actually do something where you would perhaps, I get the feeling of like showing, almost saying, I'll show you how to fry an egg, or something like that?
The connection is that I used to deal mainly with the chefs.
Right.
And the chefs deal with Diana. But Diana was always there.
Overseeing
what they did.
Right, surprises me actually.
Very much a hands-on.
She's doing it because she takes a genuine interest in these things.
Very much so.
And likes to have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I think your observation of her, which would be very different to other, everybody has their personal observations of a person, but you would see there a very domestic sort of person.
Yes.
And that's the quality that you saw in her and admired most.
Yes.
You understood her particularly from this domestic side, this gentle side with her, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think you knew Dodie though, did you?
No, I didn't.
No, did you know Dodie?
No.
Did you know Dodie at all?
I knew of him quite well.
You knew of him, but you didn't meet him personally, because I had a funny feeling we weren't going to be able to get a connection directly with Dodie, because I'd really like to do that. So I've established that you're working with the food industry. I've established that you've had connections with the film industry, although there's also other artistic levels. Show business side of things. But there's also, because Candle in the Wind's been playing on my mind all the time too, so would it be possibly with the music side of it too connected here?
Yes.
She would want to say to you that the lullaby that you wrote is very special to her heart to this day. Yes. Right. One of the most important things to her is her children, of course. And I think that lullaby, again, I have to say, the lullaby that you wrote has become a memory for her and a memory for the children. And I feel that she wants to say thank you for that, because you often have
wondered... This is very private. I mean, this was something specifically just for her that she had and told me that when she played it in the nursery that it was...
But she just wants you to know how important those little things are, because it helps in a way to build a bridge between her and her children. Because sometimes they sing that song or remember that song and it reminds them of Mum. It reminds them of Mum when they were little.
Wow.
And she just says, thank you for the lullaby. Okay?
Yes, it's unbelievable, yes.
I'm trying to ask her for a little specific little story of some sort that I can try to link with things, right? There's lots of little amusing anecdotes I want to say, that she could want to relate to you, I feel. Something about a little bit of a feel of this place, and it's got stone walls. It's not a very modern looking building, right? There was this feeling of like solidness around me, in a very old fashioned kitchen. Certainly in the building itself.
Kensington Palace.
Give me this feeling of the stone steps where you worked.
Yes.
The steps were worn like this, and you used to work with her, and she used to come down those stone steps, right? Now, take you to the stone steps.
Apartment 9 is where the princess and the prince lived. Very much so, because it was a small apartment.
With a small entrance.
With a small entrance.
And the steps and the narrow corridor piece with the steps that are worn as you go up to it.
They had a major entrance which come off the drive.
But this one would come closer to the kitchen.
This one would come in from the kitchen and be a spiral staircase up into the kitchen.
And that's her way, and that's where you would observe her the most.
That's where I came in.
And you see her there too, because she's talking about...
As you walk through the kitchen door, you couldn't see anything until you actually went through the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first thing you caught
would have been Diana and the children, right? So that's your observation point that she's showing me of how she would have your connection.
Exactly right.
Right? Okay.
Exactly right.
And at those times, you would have little glimpses of the little personal side of the life, like Diana playing with the children and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they were always asking about having a dog or something like that, and we couldn't because it was too close to the kitchen.
Well, Charles had the dogs.
But we weren't allowed them to bring them through.
No, they weren't.
That was your rule.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I say when she says that you have your rules. Your rule is you don't come through that way. That's my kitchen area. No dogs, thank you. And you could say that to her, couldn't you?
Yes.
You could be quite blunt with her, and she'd treat you on the same level.
That's it.
Really. She shows me a roll of paper, and there's something written on it. Was there a rolled piece of paper or something that they gave you as a thank you, which is a written, almost like a parchment roll that you roll open like the old-fashioned?
There was.
Right?
There was.
And I think that she has actually handled that. It may have been her that gave it to you, but she's had a connection with that to make sure that you got that.
It was a menu that was an Italian menu.
Her idea.
That was special. And I think there was 10 guests at that time.
Mm-hmm.
All these menus are hand-painted. And I was given one of them when I actually retired from...
There was a little memento of your time with her.
Which I had framed and kept in my kitchen.
So it's a little thing, but it's a specific thing that nobody could ever look up, could they?
No.
It's
a personal thing.
Personal thing to you. She says also that in your own life, she's observed that I don't know if your health's been a little bit bad of late, has it? Have you been feeling problems with your back and things?
Yes, exactly right.
And because she's observed that at the moment, and she's saying that she would understand that little things like that she would pick up in daily life. If she noticed you had a cold or you had a limp or anything like that, she'd say, "Go on, sit down. Go on. It can wait." Let me see if I can get some other little things. I'm seeing papers where you connected some writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, she's given it to me because she says writing. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I saw
Yes.
she says writing with you.
Yeah.
So I see. But I also see it in typed form. You're writing the schedules and things like that, and what's got to come next and what we've got to do tomorrow and things like that. Would that be right?
Yes. Yes.
And you're a bit like her dictaphone sort of thing, you know? She used to have a bit of a banter with you, didn't she, like that? This is what she's doing now, because she's having a bit of fun. I don't know whether she stood by looking out the window as she tells you what's what, or vice versa. But we seem to be by the light of the window. We have to move over to the window to write these things down.
Yes, we
Does that make sense? Because it must have been quite gloomy in the rest of the building or something. So you spent many boring moments with Diana, she says to me with a smile, because you had to do all the dull stuff together and all the stuff that she had to get out of the way, all the preparation work.
Yes.
Something about sweets. Did we share sweets together?
That's very, very pertinent.
And she said, "Can I have one of your sweets?"
I always had her favourite sweets.
So she's coming from the spirit side saying, "Give us a pear drop, will you?"
Yeah. Well, I always had them for her, yeah.
It's the little things, isn't it? And
Yeah.
you always remember you used to keep the pear drops in her pocket.
She used to sneak them, yeah.
Yeah, so she'd sneak a pear drop off you, and she would only have that when. So that's you and her little secret, right?
Yeah.
And something about somewhere in the Mediterranean, something about Italy. Did she say, off you go to Italy or something for your holiday or something?
Yes, I went to Italy just after I met her on holiday.
Right, so she met you and then you went off to Italy.
Yeah.
The feeling I get is a feeling of that mischievousness that she would have again, because she's done it with all of us here, really. You know, she's had a bit of fun all the time because there's been so much sadness around her death that I think what she's trying to do with this is to show that she's happy, that the same cheery side is still there, that she's still coming, made the connection. We've been seeking down the spirit of Diana, and yet she's coming with a sense of fun and sort of silly little things, really, you know, the pear drops, I can't remember what she said to you, but she said something, I forget it as I talk, but all the little things that connect between you all to show that she's there. But the feeling she gives is of being happy, and I think that if she has any message to give, it's to forget about all these theories about conspiracies and things. It just creates more pain and suffering for everybody. All that is by the by. I think she did have fears about things like being bugged. I think maybe she spoke to you about that. But all that is by the by and nonsense, most of it, I think. And her message, it's a message of love that she wants to bring. And her love goes out particularly to the boys. And if we achieve anything from this, she's hoping that the message goes to the boys to say, Mum's okay. That, I feel, is all she needs really to say. And hopefully we've established enough proof to prove that we are in touch with her to say that. And all the rest, the press must forget it. She's gone, but she's happy and she's well.
Another remarkable séance. I wonder if the people at Craig's séance will be as convinced and enthusiastic as those who sat at Jane's. Let's find out.
It was very interesting, though, and it was very nice to see how everybody else was going, hey, yeah, wow. That was kind of cool that happened, too, because nobody had any idea who was who and what was what. So there was nothing set up, and we knew nothing that was going to happen next. So.
Oh, I found it fascinating.
Certainly the questions that were being put to us, or the comments that were made to us. If your memory was 100%, you could remember every one of those occasions that he spoke about, you know, right down to the nitty-gritty in the kitchens with the children. It all made sense, you know.
And the pear drops were definitely something. I mean, we used to buy them specially and have them in the office so that she could have them whenever she wanted them. And it was always, don't tell anybody, I'm not supposed to have these, you know. So that was fantastic. It actually blew my mind.
There was a contact there on everything he said.
Well, if you enjoy my shows here and you enjoy reading my books and you enjoy my work generally, you might like to join me on Zoom, because perhaps you'd like to open your own psychic powers and discover and awaken your spiritual potential. So you can join me now on my transformative psychic workshops, which are on Zoom. Group sessions on Zoom. You will learn to meditate. You'll learn to develop your psychic skills. You'll learn to open your spiritual powers. And I'll share with you my knowledge of spiritualism, plus my knowledge from the East, from India, and the things I've learned over my years. And together, perhaps, we can navigate this troubled world together. We can share our feelings, our thoughts, our hopes, our ambitions with clarity and purpose. So can join me. Click the link below. It's in the description of this video. Spaces are limited, of course, but join me to unlock your psychic and spiritual potential.